teams and overcome internal resource constraints. I'm really looking forward to hearing from Lee Andrews and Tony Carrer in what I'm sure is going to be a really valuable conversation. And just so you know, we will be recording this webinar in case you need to leave early, and we'll be sending it to you by email within 48 hours. You can also visit the sessions landing page after today's webinar to check out the recording there as well. We'll send that link in the chat box right now for you so you can bookmark it for later. Up next, perfect, thank you, Lee. Let's quickly get some
Got
technical
it.
things out of the way. Please don't hesitate to ask any questions during today's event. We'll cover a few questions as we go. We'll also save a bit of time for a dedicated Q&A near the end of the hour. You can submit any questions through the Q&A panel that'll be found in the toolbar at the bottom of this webinar window. And the chat is also open for your thoughts and comments throughout the session. Don't forget to change the blue button in the chat box to everyone so you can join the conversation there. My wonderful colleague Tori will be fielding your questions and comments today, and Tori will be happy to provide any technical support you might need. So feel free to pull up the chat, say hello, let us know where you're joining from today and how hot it is. Also, closed captioning is available for this webinar, and to enable this feature, you can select the Show Captions option in the toolbar at the bottom of this window. And lastly, if you have any audio issues during today's presentation, you may choose to dial in by phone. All dial-in information can be found in your webinar confirmation email that you received from Zoom. Tori can also relay it to you here in the chat at any point if you need it. Up next. Today, I'm very excited to hear from Lee Andrews and Tony Carr. I know we have some great things coming. So, Tony, without further ado, I'm going to pass things over to you so you can get us started.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Tara. So I'm super excited to have Lee Andrews here. His experience is just absolutely perfect for this topic, and it was great. I met him a couple of years ago because, well, he's the founder, CEO of AGS Protect, a nationwide physical security firm, and there Lee was a really early adopter of Gen AI. And people who know me know that I'm really passionate about using Gen AI. And so he was improving workflows there, ranging from things like incident reports to marketing content. And through that, Lee was getting some big success, raising his top line revenue by 16% in just 6 months. And he freed his managers from a lot of sort of low value admin work. And so that was really exciting. And it was really interesting to see that. But then from this experience, as he was out talking about it, he got all this demand from mid-market executives to help them get similar success in their companies. And ever the entrepreneur, Lee started LJA New Media, an AI solutions consultancy that is helping mid-markets achieve 3 to 5x ROI using Gen AI, similar to what he was doing at AGS Protect. So he's going to have kind of both lenses on this, experience on his own company, experience with other companies. And so I'll get out of his way here and pepper him with questions along the way. And Lee, take it away.
Excellent. Yeah, thank you, Tony. Really appreciate that intro, and absolutely right. Yeah, welcome everyone. You know, when I start these, I always say some of us launched our first product by fax, others by Slack. And let me say that one more time. Some of us launched our first products by fax, others by Slack, but we can all benefit from AI. And what I mean there is whether your business has been around a few decades or just a few years, we can all really leverage AI to help scale and grow our businesses. So again, I'm Lee Andrews, and as Tony mentioned, I'm the founder of AGS Protect, a physical security guarding company, and LJA New Media, an AI solutions and strategy business. And today, my goal is to make sure I share with you how my team at AGS Protect was able to integrate and implement AI solutions throughout our operations over the last few years, and how you guys can do the same. And we'll go over some of the highest ROI areas to look for these AI automations and solutions, regardless of your industry. My hope is by the end, you'll all be ready to start going hands-on if you haven't already. Before we jump into that, though, I want to just share with you how I was introduced to AI. It was December 2022, ChatGPT had just come out in November of that year, the month before. And one of my marketing managers actually came up to me at work and said, "Hey, have you heard of this ChatGPT thing?" He insisted it would be a game changer for our business, actually most businesses. I didn't think much of it at the time, but the next day I was in the office, I pulled it up, and over the next hour, I realized two things. One, this technology was going to touch every business, and we need to stay ahead of it. And two, I need to go get some NVIDIA stock right away. And luckily, I was able to do both those things, and that's what's led me here today. So why does AI matter for mid-market enterprises and businesses in general? Really, there's three big reasons that we've seen that make it very much worthwhile. The first is time. You can use AI to automate a lot of low-value tasks that can free up you, your team, to focus more on high-margin activities, on your customers, and really improve your business overall. And this first point leads directly to the second point here, profit. Being able to focus on these higher margin initiatives, your customers allow you to increase profit without increasing headcount. Like Tony mentioned, at AGS Protect, we were able to add 16% to our top line revenue within 6 months, directly attributable to AI content that we were able to generate. And I'll talk more about that in a second. But a recent Microsoft study just came out that shows for every $1 invested in generative AI, the average return is $3.70, and top returns can be 10x plus. So for a technology that's going to touch every business, it makes sense to jump into it right now and get that ROI. The last point here is actually pretty unique, we think. We call it resilience. AI can really help with business resiliency. And so if you are in a company that's been around a long time, you've developed a lot of industry know-how, a lot of processes, AI can actually be trained and fine-tuned on those processes to help you continue to scale your business, especially when key people retire, leave. If markets are shifting, you can use this AI trained on your company knowledge to really help shift your processes and update them. At LJA, we actually just finished helping a large appliance distributor recover when their top 3 salespeople left to start a competing business. We were able to use AI to analyze and reconstruct their processes so that the new salespeople could be trained up quickly and be caught up to speed. So far, it's worked. So really, really cool use case for AI and a lot of potential there. Hopefully you'll see a quiz just popped up. We just want to get a read on where you guys are at with AI. How many of you have AI production? What I mean by that is full-scale processes already using AI. Have you developed a roadmap, or are you guys just still sort of exploring? I'll give
Thank
you 1 second
you.
there.
Yeah, just a quick last call for anyone who hasn't answered this poll yet to jump in and let us know. All right, I'm going to go ahead and close this out now, and we'll share the results.
I'm super curious.
And there you have it. Can you see those?
Yes. That's awesome. I love that. That aligns with all the stats that we've been seeing and really what our anecdotal experience has been. I will say RSM, they just released a middle market AI survey that shows while this is accurate in terms of companies in production and road mapping and exploring, what it doesn't cover is a lot of executives are, let's call it unofficially, 78% of middle market executives are already using AI in some form, just as an individual, even if the company overall is not. So there's a big difference there, and it's difficult to get that full adoption. So hopefully today we'll get some insight to help you guys move that forward. So what exactly is AI? You can think of AI as a software that can read, write, predict, and decide 24/7 without needing a break or any rest. And maybe some of you have heard 2025 is going to be the year of AI agents and agent-to-agent protocols. And really what that means is that AI has advanced enough that those last 2 points there, predict and decide, can be done independent of human intervention. Granted, I'm in California. There's a law that's passed in July in like 5 days. These processes will require human in the loop feedback, meaning that you'll just need a human to review and finalize those processes, even if the AI is capable of doing it on its own. I want you guys to just be aware of that as we're going through this. You're seeing use cases, you're thinking about use cases for your own business. Make sure that you're thinking about how to include human in the loop as you go through this. Today, we're going to focus on generative AI. So these are tools like ChatGPT, Copilot, Gemini, Claude. There's a bunch of them out there, but these are the tools that turn your plain words, your prompts, into drafts, action plans, emails, reports. And I want to show you guys real quick just something I know a lot of people are not aware of, but I use ChatGPT for this. There's a lot of tools that are capable of what's called deep research. And right now we're working with a company. This is not their real information, but we're working with a company to identify a potential sub-brand that they can launch. And what we do is deep research analysis. You can put together a prompt that will go out, it'll search all of the current news, all of its knowledge base. You can include company information, and it'll give you a 30 to 40 page, very detailed report. And I know a lot of you are probably thinking, well, it's hallucinating, it's making it up, it's doing all this. I can tell you, we've actually executed on several of these reports, especially the ideal customer profiles, the personas, and we've discovered new market segments that companies can tackle, and we've seen that these actually do produce real actionable results. So again, hallucinations are something you want to be aware of, but this is a great place to get an overall picture and then start refining this with your own knowledge, your own experts. Let me jump back here. Okay, great. So I want to talk a little bit about our specific use cases that we implemented at AGS Protect. This was a few years ago, and in doing it, I really had to develop a strategy. We had to be able to figure out how we were going to grow and scale these opportunities within our business. At LJA, now we work with other companies. We call it the Zero to Strategy Framework Roadmap. And so I'm just going to walk you through what that looked like for us so that you guys can maybe follow the same process. But the first phase here is explore. So this was me Monday morning after my marketing manager told me, hey, you got to check this out. I have a background in e-commerce marketing. And so I was really focused on using it for content generation, specifically SEO optimized blog posts. So uh, that day and a few days after, I developed a process that created our brand voice, implemented it into these blog posts, and over 3 months, we were able to create a process. I handed it over to the marketing team, and over those 3 months, they were able to generate 300 SEO optimized blog posts specific to our industry. And after 6 months, we went from 200 hits a month to our website and maybe one lead a month coming in to over 4,000 hits per month and 2 to 3 leads coming in per week. We were closing these leads at, I think it was 63%. So these were well-qualified leads coming in, again, directly related to the AI content that we were able to generate. And these aren't unique results. A lot of people are doing this right now. And this is one of the easiest ways that you guys can implement some generative AI content and actually see those results. For me, once we started to see, hey, this is really working, I was very impressed with what it was capable of. I wanted to see what else we could do. And so this is the pilot phase. We were trying to see, could we move this AI, generative AI, from content generation and marketing into our actual operations and produce meaningful results? At the time, one of my clients was complaining, having some issues with managers at our account. Again, it's a physical security company. The manager should be out looking at checking on the security guards, making sure everybody's doing what they're supposed to. But at this particular account, the managers were mostly in the office. And so we went down, I met with our director there, the managers, and we found out that the managers were stuck in the office reviewing incident reports. This account was in Hollywood. There's a large unhoused population, a lot of aggressive behavior. And so there were quite a few incidents coming in every week. And it was crucial for our client that we get these filled out correctly and submitted so that they have it for insurance purposes. But we found out it was taking around 15 hours a week for our managers to review, verify, and fix all of these reports. I thought, this is a perfect use case for AI. It's a repetitive, low value task that is visible to the client and important to the client. So we created properly filled out incident reports that we could use as sample documentation for the AI. We created system instructions for the LLM to properly review the incident reports. And we connected everything to the OpenAI API, and we have a Microsoft environment. So to our shared drive or 365, I forget what it's called, but the Microsoft shared drive. And so basically what this looked like is if the uploaded incident report was not filled out correctly, it would automatically get revised, saved to a specific folder for review, and the managers would be notified via email. It was low lift for our managers because all they had to do was save the document in a specific folder and then review it in a specific folder that they were already using. And the email, it would just come in through their email. So it was low lift for our managers to start adopting this. In order to maintain that governance, we did make sure that it was not automatically submitted to the client and that we did have to keep that human in the review. The managers were required to review these. And then in order to get that adoption, we put our IT head. I always tell people you don't want your IT team fully like in charge of this. It's a joint effort with the managers there. The IT teams are really stretched thin. But so I had our IT head and the director of the account in charge of making sure that it was adopted. So after training the managers and getting this all up and running, we were able to cut the amount of time they spent in the office from 15 hours a week down to just 4 hours a week. So 11 hours freed up. We shared this new system with the clients, and they were thrilled with the results. It's been great for client retention, and the return on that is, big.
Hey, Lee, real quick, can you talk
Yes.
to a little bit? Mark's asking about who in the organization kind of helped develop the processes, integrate the use cases. Can you talk about like who you rallied to make this
Yeah.
happen?
Yeah. So in this particular pilot phase, we had a few people that were really on board with it, and I'll talk about it in a culture section in a second. But I really kept the whole team, all of our executive team, on board with this. We meet weekly, and again, I don't want to go into too much detail, but basically, as a culture, we wanted to be an AI first security company, and a lot of security companies were using it on the tech side, but not in physical security operations. And so I sort of repeatedly was telling our entire team, we want to support this, we want to do this, help look for use cases. And so it was my president of operations, myself, and then our IT head. And honestly, I had to really convince our IT head to start helping us implement these. Tony's laughing at me, but so really, it started with just the three of us, and when we had to scale it across all of our teams, it took a little bit more effort. But really, it can start with a small group of people just pushing this forward.
Great,
Does that
thank you.
answer the question, Tony?
Yeah, that's great. Thank you.
Okay. So that was the pilot phase. Now we had a real use case. We were able to use generative AI. We built out this pipeline within a scalable system. From there, we wanted to continue to scale it across different departments. And so because we had already built out the AI pipeline. It was connected to our shared drive. We had an OpenAI API. We documented our data to make sure that it was clean enough to actually run some of these things. And then we started creating AI policies because what was happening was some of our team, the younger generation of our team, was using AI and not, it was a lot of copy and paste, not reviewing the results. And so we put in some AI policies to make sure that there were standards for using AI within the company. And again, part of those policies are including human in the loop. And anyway, so we wanted to automate some additional processes using the same pipeline. It reduced our costs if we kept a similar flow. And so we identified an area in our billing department where our billing assistants were spending 7 hours a week just manipulating payroll reports in order to get client-specific backup for our billing. It was another repetitive weekly task. And again, with the same pipeline, we were able to set up sample documents of what we wanted the client reports to look like. We gave system instructions on how to format everything and how we wanted it exported. And then I just made sure to put our billing manager, and again, Phil, our IT guy, in charge of overseeing training. And when it was put in place, it was adopted very quickly, and it saved 6 hours a week of our billing assistants' time. It only took them 1 hour to review everything and make sure that it was good to go. Again, I'm talking, 11 hours here, 6 hours here, but all of these little things add up over time, especially over the year. It's a huge ROI to reduce your overhead costs without having to cut people or tools or technology that you're using. So there's a ton of areas that we've tackled with little things like this. It would take quite a while to go over them all. What I really want to do now is go over some of the areas we've seen with LJA, that no matter what industry you're in, these have high ROI with low effort to implement and low cost to implement. And we typically see, what is it, three-time average return on these within 6 months. So a very short time for that ROI. Let me jump over there. So the biggest area, the easiest area to get some of these quick wins is marketing. We talked about the SEO blog posts. You can automate LinkedIn outreach for some sales. You can do social content, create content calendars. A lot of these automations can be implemented in marketing processes that your team is probably already doing. And again, you can see these returns in as little as 3 to 6 months with virtually no risk. So great area to start getting that adoption. Operations. So as part of operations, I put sales in here. I want to tell you guys how we do it with AGS Protect, just to spark some ideas, but there's so many areas of sales that AI can help with. In security, when you get a new client, you typically go out and do what's called a site survey. You go out to their location, you walk the property with them, and you check any security issues, and you discuss their security needs. Since COVID, we've been doing these virtually. We'll pull up a satellite image of the property and do the same sort of walkthrough. In either scenario, we record the meeting. So if it's virtual, we use Blue Dot. There's a ton of programs out there, Firefly, Otter. The key is that they can record and transcribe the meeting. If it's in person, I actually use my iWatch here. There's a voice memo app on it. And with the other person's permission, it actually captures all the audio, and then you're able to transcribe that and use it. But the key is within 1 hour of finishing those meetings, these are like discovery meetings, within 1 hour, 3 things happen. The first, a scope of work with accurate bill rates is created. And it took a lot of finessing and training to make sure that it was created accurately. But now we've gone through so many iterations. We get a very accurate scope of work with billing as part of it. The second is a proposal deck outline. So for a follow-up meeting to walk them through the proposal. And then the last one is a follow-up email in my voice. And again, I've tweaked it enough that now I barely have to make any changes to this. So all of these are saved in a shared sales drive. All I have to do is go in, review those 3 things, and I can send out a follow-up email. I cannot tell you. I've had so many potential clients and current clients reply that they couldn't believe I got this to them so fast. And I know I've won clients because I was able to get a quote to them days before our competitors get them out there. And we actually monitor our pipeline, and with this automation, we increased our sales rate by 11%. So a big jump because of the velocity that we're able to get these sales out there, or these quotes out there. Finance, another good area to look. A lot of bigger companies have reporting requirements that can be automated, and then they only have to be reviewed before they were shared. So big time savings there. I can't talk a whole lot about this, but we were able to identify fraud in a client's business thanks to an LLM analysis. So we really just took their financials, compared them to industry benchmarks, and the ones that didn't line up properly, we did further analysis, and it did result in us actually finding fraud. These are all things that you guys can do yourself using a Copilot or a ChatGPT. And we'll talk about, go ahead, Tony.
Actually, so Lee, just somebody just literally asked a question. Elizabeth asked, are you doing this with ChatGPT or are you creating your own GPTs? Are you going to talk
Yeah.
about that?
Well, I'll talk about it now. So yeah, it really depends. You want to be very careful. We can talk about compliance and risk and auditability are kind of the key factors that you want. Even ChatGPT, Copilot to some extent, all of these out of the box LLM tools like that are not great for that, to be perfectly honest. If you have sensitive data that you're using, they say that team accounts aren't used to train data, but there's no transparency. There's no guarantee that that's the case. So if you work in an industry where it's very important that you have that privacy, you have that safety, you actually have to kind of go to the next level. So either building out Microsoft Azure workflow, Google Cloud, AWS, they all have the capabilities to create very secure AI implementations. And so absolutely recommend if you're in an industry where that's very important, you should go that route and not risk. If you do only have ChatGPT, say your company hasn't fully adopted AI or gone that route, you can use those tools, but make sure and anonymize the data that you're analyzing first. And there's some techniques to do that. We won't go into it here, but don't use real data if you can help it. Does that answer the question?
Yes, thanks, Lee.
Yep. Okay. Where were we? Just talked about finance, HR. So again, I have a security company. We have a lot of employees. It's a service business. HR is a big part of what we do. So we are able to use AI to help generate job postings, interview questions, job descriptions, tasks. We're currently exploring using it for resume reviews, and even, some AI programs can do full interviews. There are enterprise companies that use these tools, and it's starting to be a problem. But for mid-market companies or companies that can't create their own models, you have to be very careful. A lot of these HR-based ones, it's not transparent in how they were trained, and they can contain a lot of bias. So right now, there's gray area in the laws. And so as a service business, we don't want to have any issues yet. Again, we're keeping an eye on it. And as long as you keep a human in the loop to do reviews, it does keep that risk low. So if you want to do it, just make sure that you do keep that human human in the loop to help watch that. Risk and compliance. So this one is a fun area. There's always bottlenecks in risk and compliance for many industries. Just as an example, right now we're scoping out a project with a large gift basket manufacturer. You guys have definitely heard of them, but we're working to implement an AI monitoring for food recalls of the items that go in their basket. So right now they have a lot of legacy systems. They've been around a long time. And so it's difficult whenever there's a recall notice that goes out. It takes them 6 to 8 days to alert their team, find the batches that were affected, where they shipped out, find the customers. And we've scoped out a full pilot project that really it bolts onto their system. So they don't have to change any of their processes, anything like that. But it uses AI to monitor. And then when it identifies a food recall, it can find which batch number, lot numbers, and it even drafts up, if it's been shipped to a customer, it drafts up notification emails for review for their team. And so we're looking at taking their time from 6 to 8 days down to less than 1 day to respond to these. And it has a huge impact on the fines that they're receiving and can save them at minimum 300,000 a year. So huge applications for risk and compliance. I know that was just one use case, but there's a lot of areas that we can apply that to.
And Lee, just one comment on this list. I know you don't mean this
Yep.
to be an inclusive list, but Marcus
Yeah.
Johnson, man after my own heart, said, "Oh, IT should have been on that list," and I would agree with him.
Yes.
Engineering, product, IT also can get a ton of value. I'm sure there's lots of other use cases out there.
You're right. And future ones, I'm definitely adding that on there for sure. Where are we? Yeah. Okay. So thank you for that. I appreciate that. That is a really good point. So we've talked about use cases. Hopefully you guys have some ideas. But again, how do you get that adoption? I know we talked about it a tad bit earlier, but to go into a little bit more detail, at AGS Protect, I meet with my executive team and managers weekly. Again, we go over what's working, what's not working, and where we can improve. The last few minutes we actually save for training. So it was a great place to start integrating this AI. And really the way that I did it, we didn't have the AI policies, the guidelines, any of that stuff at this point. Really, we just wanted to get it started. I was just coming off figuring out how to use it for the SEO blog posts. And I told them, look, we need to be an AI first security company for the physical security industry. There's nobody doing this right now. And so that's what I encourage them to do. We rolled out, again, we're in the Microsoft environment, so we rolled out Copilot to all of our managers. You'll sort of notice I actually like ChatGPT better and I use it personally, but in order to maintain our environment, we use Copilot for the company. But anyway, we rolled it out and I asked them that first week, I just want you guys to try one prompt. It can be anything. I'm going to ask you what it is the next week. Sure enough, next week comes around. I ask them, I got a bunch of people looking up recipes in it, doing, I think they were like gym workout plans. A few people did revise emails. I said, that's great. You guys are working with it, but now we need to focus on business cases. And then over the next 6 weeks, we created a prompt library. Again, this sounds fancy. All it was a shared folder with a bunch of Word documents. The use case was the title, and within the Word document, it had the prompt, who wrote it, and the potential ROI, whether that was time saved per week or a client communication improvement, whatever it was. And after the 6 weeks, we had about 20 of those. I went through and reviewed them and picked the top ROI one for us. And I just want to tell you what it is real quick because it's relevant to how we sort of got this cultural adoption. But we use a guard tracking software and it monitors patrol routes. If there's any incidences, it records those, whether it's graffiti, trespassing, anything like that. And what it gives us is an analytics dashboard. And all we see there are numbers. There were this much trespassing, this much graffiti. These were the patrol routes. And it's really hard to get insightful changes from that. So one of our managers took 90 days of data. And again, actually at this time, we didn't have a secure setup. I'm not too worried about security data, but just to be totally transparent, he uploaded it to the Copilot and asked it to analyze and review this and give us actionable security changes that we can make to improve the security at our client's account. And it did that. It suggested altering one of the patrol routes in a way that we would never have done it because it's against best practices. But we got approval from the client to do it. And sure enough, over 30 days, we saw graffiti declining thanks to this adjusted patrol route. And so we wanted to roll this out to all of our accounts. And the way that we did that, normally it would come from the executive team. We'd send out a training bulletin. If they didn't do it, we'd write them up. And, we wanted to take a different approach here because this was new. We wanted to get their interest and adoption. So really what we did is we highlighted your peers are using this. We fully support the use of AI. Again, we were starting to create policies at this time, so we sent it out with our AI policy. But your peers are using it. This is what they did. This is the exact prompt they used. This is how they did it, and this was the result. And we saw really good adoption from that. We had over 80% adoption from rolling out this specific use case for AI because I think of the way we were able to frame that. Again, I have some practical tips here. I'm not going to go over all of them, but these are uh, things I've sort of learned going through this process, not ones that I actually did. One I do want to highlight here is this reverse mentorship pairs. And we actually did see, and this formed organically, was some of our younger managers were actually doing really well with AI and finding a lot of great use cases. Some of my more senior executives, let's say it that way, more senior executives actually went to them asking for help, and they were able to work together to create prompts. Really, they were prompt engineering for my senior executives. So, I do think there's could be some clashing with it, but if you know your team, you can really pair those up in a way that I think would help support and foster that adoption a lot faster.
Yeah, I was going to say, Lee, you and I saw that firsthand
Yeah.
when we did our session together. It was a family business session, about 70 leaders from different family businesses. And
Yeah.
we had brought in like seniors, recent grads, who mostly this is done under a business school. So a lot of them had business school background. And of course, when you're coming out of school, you've got tons of experience with ChatGPT now. Whether or not the professors like that's a different question, but they could directly work with the senior execs, and the collaboration was phenomenal. It was
Yep.
amazing to see the value creation between the person who really understands the business and the person who really understands prompting.
Yeah, exactly right. Exactly right. Um,
Great. And just so you know, Lee, I've got a bunch of questions piling up, but I'm going to hold
y-
a lot of them to the end.
okay, so okay, I'm going to be cognizant of time. I might speed up a little bit through some of these. The last thing I want to talk about here, though, I just want to give you guys an overview of where AGS Protect is today in terms of like AI expectations. There's a lot of AI, I call it AI slop. I don't know if that's getting around, not, but this is that copy and paste stuff without review. So in order to fight that at AGS Protect, what we do now is we have an AI literacy test whenever we onboard new admin staff. And it's nothing big. It's 3 to 5 questions uh, that ask them to use AI to solve a problem specific to their role, just so we can gauge where they're at. And then when they're being onboarded, we have an AI expectation sheet. And so as they're going over, time cards, the employee handbook, we include this AI expectation sheet. And that goes over the things like, it must be reviewed. I don't like emojis, so absolutely no emojis can be included. And then, no direct copy and pasting. They have to put it in their own words. And these are specific to our business. They can be flexible. And then as part of the employee handbook, it's not a legal document, but we have them sign off on our AI governance rules. So now these are for things like security, compliance, auditability. We want to make sure that our clients' data, especially, is not being shared where it shouldn't be. So we do hold everybody accountable for that now that we have all of these in place. But this has cut down on that AI slop almost like completely. So it's very possible. Again, I don't know if I mentioned it, but 78% of executives right now are using AI kind of informally. So this is shifting no matter what, and you do want to really start thinking about getting these rules in place. I'm going to talk for 5 more minutes here. I'm going to kind of rush through this one a little bit, but again, once you have the use cases, the culture, and the adoption, you want to make sure and measure ROI. There's three really easy ways, especially for AI to track this. You've heard me talk for the last 40 minutes about hours saved. It used to take X hours, now it takes Y. Very easy to get an annual cost savings on that. Costs avoided. We literally used to pay a copywriter $2,000 for one SEO optimized article a month. With a $20 Copilot plan, we were able to get 100 better articles out. I don't include this in our ROI costs because it's a $200,000 cost savings that is pretty incredible. And then I mentioned our sales win rate increasing by 11%. If you track multiple KPIs under sales, you'll see the sales lead velocity decreasing because you're getting quotes out faster, the close rate increasing because you're getting more accurate quotes out. And again, you'll see that lift almost guaranteed. I want to touch on this real quick because we get this question a lot on the LJA side. A lot of companies, executives, they want to know, do we build this internally or should we buy this externally, either through a tool or a consulting partnership? And really, there's a few questions you want to ask yourselves. I'll tell you this one quick story. It was December 2022, right? ChatGPT had just come out. Over the next few months, I sort of dedicated myself to learning everything I could about this generative AI. I try and spend, I have a 3-year-old daughter. I try and spend between 4:30 and 7:30 with the family. But then 7:30 p.m. to 11:30, I was reading AI newsletters. I was watching AI YouTube videos. I was in the recesses of subreddits nobody's ever heard of, trying to find these edge use cases for business. It is very time consuming to figure all of that out. There is an OpenAI Academy now that has great base use cases for all of this, but again, to find those really optimal ones, it does take a lot of time. So again, doing it yourself, inexpensive, but way slower. Partnering with an expert can help fast track that ROI and meet those 6-month ROI goals. Clarity on what's possible. So much is possible with AI and prompting. Really, it's a lot of trial and error to do it yourself. Again, using a tool or partnering with someone, they have some proven use cases and playbooks. Again, hopefully you've got an idea of some of those now, so you'll be ahead of the game. And then risk and compliance. This is an area that's kind of gray right now. As these new laws come out, you just want to be aware of it. And so having somebody that's either a tool integrating them directly into the tool or a consultant that knows and is keeping on track of what needs to be guardrailed and audited is very important. And then leadership bandwidth, right? So the leader should be executing on the vision of the company. It shouldn't be distracted by AI. AI is meant to help optimize and create efficiencies within the business. So bringing on a tool can really help free up so that you can focus on the strategy. We want to give you guys a leg up, and I spent the last week working on this stuff and getting it all finalized. But we have some really cool tools for you guys to take advantage of. I think we talked about sending this out within the 48-hour email. So real quick, we have an AI opportunity map. All these use cases that we've talked about, this worksheet uses AI. It will help you find them for your own business, specific to your business. And then we have a use case prioritizer. Once you have all of these, how do you know which ones to tackle first? So it'll help you organize those. Vendor check guide. If you do want to go with a tool or a third party, these are some questions you have to ask to make sure it's a good fit for your business. Prompt starter pack. So we've got 20 of these high ROI area prompts that you can start plugging and playing with to help give you a boost in understanding those areas that you want to talk about. And then a free 45 minutes executive AI game plan call. Usually it's with me or someone on my team. We can talk specifically about your business and help you identify some areas. Again, no obligation, nothing like that. We're just happy to help talk you through it. I'll skip this, but normally I challenge everybody on this call, 30 days, start using AI and measure the results. So I know you all can do it. All right, perfect. Hey, I stopped right on time. But thank you guys. Like I said, I hope I was able to really share, the process. I know we don't have a lot of time today, but share the process that I went through, get you guys thinking about how you can implement it in your business. I know a lot of you already have roadmaps, have implemented. A lot of you are still exploring. But I fully encourage you to keep exploring, keep going. It really does make a huge difference in the business. Um,
That was
so
that
thank
was great, Lee.